I'm gonna wash that man right out of my hair. I'm gonna wash that.
It's one of the most beloved and most successful Broadway musicals of all time. And at tonight's Tony Awards here on CBS, Rodgers and Hammerstein's South Pacific could steal the show. Appropriately enough, it's all happening on Father's Day. CBS Evening News anchor Katie Couric will explain.
The book won the Pulitzer.
Bali High will whisper.
The movie won an Oscar. And the original Broadway show won 10 Tony Awards. Now, 59 years later, South Pacific is back on the Great White Way, looking and sounding
younger than springtime, are you?
Based on James Michener's World War II novel about love, war, and cultures colliding, South Pacific is considered by some to be the greatest musical of all time.
I'm speaking of my sweetie pie, only 60 inches high.
People think of it as being so grand and so wonderful. That's why we have to be even better.
That's a claim lead actress Kelly O'Hara can make if the production wins all 11 Tonys it's up for tonight.
There is nothing like a day, nothing in the world.
In the meantime, there's nothing like the approval of a couple of dames who know exactly what Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein would have wanted. Their daughters, Mary Rodgers Gettle and Alice Hammerstein Matthias. When did you first realize this is going to work?
When I first heard the first rehearsal of the orchestra, and they played the first 3 notes, and we were like this. It was just so exciting.
You would have thought Alice would have waited for the words. After all, her father, Oscar Hammerstein, was the lyricist in this partnership, and Richard Rodgers, the composer. Turns out these apples didn't fall far from the tree. What role did the two of you play in this revival, Alice?
The lyrics and the presentation of the songs, I might have had comments on.
I was cheated before, and I'm cheated again.
And how about you, Mary?
I would be working on the music.
Yeah, right.
But there was very little to do. Nobody said, well, this is the way I like to play it.
They didn't really want to give it a new twist, did they?
No, we wanted an honest, good interpretation, and that's what we got.
I'm as horny as happiness is August, high as a flag on the 4th of July. If you'll excuse an expression I use, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful guy.
And why mess with success? South Pacific's first Broadway run lasted 5 blockbuster years, from 1949 to 1954.
Warm enchanted evening, you make me a stranger.
And it ensured Rodgers and Hammerstein would become household names. Well, to most people.
All right, well, let's get on with it. Now, let's see, who are you two again?
We had one song that did pretty well. It's called Some Enchanted Evening. It sold a couple of million records.
Now, just a moment. I happen to know something about the record business. There must be some reason for a sale like that. Now, come clean now. What was on the other side of Some Enchanted?
I know you've said if your dad were alive, he would be astonished to see how popular his music is today.
I mean, who thinks that 60 years later, anything you write is going to be known? We're in such a period of tiny bites. And something that was that successful, who knew?
Oscar might have had some inkling. On the eve of its opening, his wedding gift to his daughter was a 1% stake in South Pacific. Not to be tacky, Alice, but what does that translate into?
Yeah, I don't know.
How rich are you, Alice?
Well, this, but what I did do out of it, I invested in the next show on my own, The King and I.
That was a smart investment.
Yes,
Yes, got her real hooked.
From that royal palace in Bangkok
June is busting out all over.
to the colorful coast of Maine in Carousel,
Oh, what a beautiful morning.
to the golden plains of Oklahoma, Rodgers and Hammerstein's prolific partnership spawned 11 musicals in 17 years. What is your favorite?
Well, one that Rodgers didn't write, Showboat. Sorry.
That's your favorite? Well, it's
one of my
right
favorites. I don't know how you...
You can leave now, Alan.
Thanks.
You have good life here.
But of all their productions, South Pacific resonates in ways neither Rodgers nor Hammerstein could have foreseen 60 years ago. Earlier this spring, as the curtain rose on the revival, the presidential campaign was dominated by war and race, two of the main plot lines of South Pacific.
There are scary and touching similarities.
You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are oddly made.
But what may seem poignant now was downright progressive in 1949. You've got to be taught is really quite searing. You've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8.
To hate all the people your relatives hate.
Did it create a stir by being so in your face about some controversial issues back in the day?
People didn't like, they wanted to drop it from the show.
Bigots wanted to drop it from the show.
Bigots, yeah.
The current version is daring too, restoring some of the racially offensive dialogue that was originally cut, like when Ensign Nellie Forbush discovers her French lover, Emile Debec, is the father of mixed-race children.
Emile, they are yours.
Yes, Nellie, I am their father.
And their mother was
Polynesian.
colored.
We're actually kind of sinking into the truth a little bit more because people are ready for it now and want to hear about it and talk about it.
Tony nominee Kelly O'Hara says growing up, naive and intolerant characters like Nellie lived right under her nose.
My grandmother, she was raised in Arkansas. She was carefully taught, as the show talks about. And so that's what I know, and that's how I went about playing Nellie.
Emile, I'm not jealous. It's just such a shock for me to think of you with the...
But O'Hara says it's the dialogue that hopefully takes place after the performance that's important, which is one reason the cast recently hosted this Q&A for some New York City students.
You made us nervous. Why? Because, you know, I, for one, had a very difficult job of being racist. And I was very scared at what your response would be, to be honest. But I think that you get that it's to make a point, and that she was wrong, and that she grew.
The nominees for Best Performance by a Leading Actress in a Musical are Kelly O'Hara, South Pacific;
Bartlett Shear, South Pacific;
Christopher Gattelli, South Pacific.
South Pacific's return to the Tonys is yet another one of the parallels with its past.
So they call me a cockeyed optimist.
Mary and Alice say, had their fathers been here to see it, it would have been a mixed blessing for a couple of cockeyed optimists. Newsweek recently wrote, South Pacific is about the way we were and the way we are even now. What would they think?
They would be disappointed. To an extent, the racial stuff has improved. But look at us. I mean, we're at war with this person, and this country, and that country.
On the other hand, he would have been very proud and very happy that South Pacific was still hitting the nail on the head.
Bali high, Bali high, Bali high.
It's a lightweight hat, and you want to make sure that the hat is on good.